something I have to do now in accordance with my new form of employment is I've got to measure things with a high degree of precision, limited tolerances. And so, of course, I have a tape measure. That's fine. But also, a lot of the measuring I do is small. And so I went down and I actually bought a couple of measuring tools that are small for the purpose of just being able to get good angles, precise measurements, and narrow quarters. No big deal. The issue that I've encountered, though, I've only been working this job little over a month, if even that long. And yet, of course, rulers have sharp corners on them. And the reality is that I've already had to stitch the pockets I carry these things in more than once because those rough edges just eat the life out of the fabric. And so I thought I had found the solution to my problem. This is a simple 3-inch 80 millimeter 8 centimeter caliper. I thought this is clearly the godsend. It's got smoothed edges on it so that it's not going to be quite as hard on my clothing, but I can still do the job that I need to be able to do. Here's the problem that has emerged. When they were making it, I don't even know if you'll be able to see it, but they messed it up. The gradations on this are wrong. And luckily for me, I thought of it with the intent of checking its math, essentially, to make sure that it was right. Because if I hadn't, and I had actually tried to guarantee something with the measurements found on here, it would have been wrong every single time. So thanks for that, Amazon. But I think there's something of a moral lesson in this that I find, especially over the last year, maybe say 2 years with the election and just everything that's been going on since 2020, 2019, the pandemic, all of those things that have been going on is, do you trust your metrics? Do you trust your measuring tools? Because that's what theology is. That's what philosophy is. That's what the specific translation that you prefer. That is the church leadership you sit under. That is your understandings, your beliefs about masculinity, the family, marriage. These things hold hands so tightly that it's almost impossible to separate them. But all of this controversy, all of this conflict that we've been experiencing in our society has been exposing the reality that there's a lot of people that utilize the label of Christian in order to win for themselves influence. But clearly, the metrical alignments of what they are calling Christian are simply not accurate. That's just the reality. It's unfortunate, but it is most certainly true. And so they, however, often seem oblivious to this reality. They just don't know it. They're completely unaware. So when they go to place their theological calipers up against something, the way that they're measuring it in pass or fail terms is wrong, but they don't know it. And so it's something that I've always wondered, like, how much do you trust these things? But it's the reality that we constantly need to be assessing the quality of our metrics, of our tools for determining success and failure in Christianity, in our church ministries, in our daily life, to make sure that they themselves pass the test. because, quite frankly, we often tend to lower our standards to accommodate what our eyes see, as opposed to making what our eyes see conform to the exacting standards of God's truth.